Welcome to Conversations with Cubit. We are in for a treat tonight. I know you hear me say that all the time, but just because I say it often doesn't mean it's any less true. This is going to be an amazing night. It might be a little challenging for some, I must admit, but it will be all good, I promise. Thank you for joining me tonight. And if you are with me on a regular basis, you can already tell that we are back out at Green Pasture Studios in Spencer, Oklahoma. Special thanks goes out to my friends Richard and Amy James for being the home of these weekly conversations. They're great people. Learn all you can about this place out here. Now let me start by saying thanks for supporting these weekly conversations. Last week, my friend Mo Anderson was so good, you got to find time to watch that interview at least a couple of times. I mean, there were so many nuggets of wisdom that were shared by Mo, you don't want to miss it. So go back and watch that one. And if you're new to these weekly conversations, welcome to the family. My team and I are excited that you found your way here to this live stream. And please do send me those inbox messages, those DMs, those emails. They are super encouraging to all of us. Also, hit the like button, hit the share button. It really helps us spread the great conversations across this community. Also, you can comment, and I know there'll be plenty of comments during the broadcast. Your feedback is very important. Again, don't keep this conversation to yourself. Hit the share button now. I'm waiting. Hit the share button right now. Do it. But before we dive into tonight's conversation, let me tell you my 3 simple goals for these weekly conversations. There's only 3. 1, add value to people in my community. 2, inspire you to believe in what people and communities can become if we're willing to work together. And last but not least, love people, period. No strings attached, just love people. All this means is that I want you to be inspired and I want you to get useful information and resources, and I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. Now let me ask you a question. Why? Why do words like racism, white privilege, white supremacy, and implicit bias seem to be able to divide us so quickly as a community? Is there a one-word answer on how to improve our community? Well, my special guest tonight believe that they have that one word that will improve our community as we wrestle with words like racism, privilege, and white supremacy. Joining me tonight are 2 very special friends of mine. Many people in this city already know these gentlemen, but I consider it a great honor to introduce them to those who may not know them already. First up is my boy, Justin King. Justin is a native Oklahoma Cityan who works as an attorney, but also has a passion for trying to improve his community. He has been involved with various local organizations as a volunteer board member, organizations like Special Care and Odyssey Leadership Academy and Water's Edge. He graduated from Washington and Lee University with a degree in modern languages and the University of Oklahoma College of Law. Justin and his wife Jamie have 2 children, and they attend Oakdale Baptist Church, where Jamie is on staff as the worship pastor. And let me tell you, she can sing. They host a monthly speaker series and a monthly conversation on race. Justin is one of those people that is just natural at getting people together. And he's not only my attorney, he's my boy. That's right. Next up is a guy that also gets the title of my boy. His name is Trey Clark. And Trey spent several years as a civil engineer drafter before being called into the ministry in 2008. Trey left his career to pursue a degree in ministry from Mid-America Christian University. And upon completion of his schooling, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science in Christian Ministries, Trey joined BCC, that's the Britain Christian Church. He joined their pastoral staff in 2011. He now serves as the community and education pastor, ministering to students and families through after-school tutoring and summer prevention programs. He also plays a role in the church's small group ministry. Trey and his wife, Alicia, did I say it? Alicia. They have 3 boys and share a passion for families and marriages, and they enjoy creating opportunities for couples to grow in these areas. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome virtually clap it up for Justin and Trey to Conversations in Cubit. Y'all
for having us, man.
Yeah, we got to clap ourselves.
Got to clap for myself.
Yeah, that's it.
On the back.
That's normal. That's like being in my house.
Yeah, right. There's no applause. But we're here, and so I'm excited because we go at least back to 2014. 2014. So, is there anything that I left out in the introduction? Have y'all ever been introduced like that?
Never.
No, I don't think they even introduced us like that at the Neighbors Conference.
No, they didn't.
Okay, well, good.
That was
thank you.
fancy.
Well
Appreciate
done.
that.
You feel special?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I feel
Well,
very
because
special.
you are special. So we have a really easy conversation for us because we have it all the time, but it's not an easy conversation for everybody. And so we're going to talk about race, and we're going to talk about relationships, and we're going to talk about some of those hard things. But before we do that, kind of, Justin, tell us how we all met, how we all know each other.
So yeah, it was 2014. I remember the day, November 18th, 2014, and I came to an event where you were speaking. It was after you had given like a bigger talk, and this was kind of a follow-up conversation. And I just kind of remember that I was feeling troubled by what was happening in Ferguson, Missouri. And I kept saying to Jamie, I was like, that's not very far away from Oklahoma City. And there's some rioting and terrible things happening, and I'd like to understand it better. And so I showed up, and I know the Holy Spirit was the one that had me there that day, because what happened that day was a total, not anything short of a transformation of just the way I looked at the world. And it was only because of your, the way you led the conversation. And I hadn't even heard your original talk. I heard that you heard the way you spoke with all of us, a mostly white audience, about the fact that Oklahoma City isn't necessarily immune from something like Ferguson happening, but you kind of talked about the fact that we had some good community relations between the police and the northeast side of Oklahoma City, but mostly you just highlighted for a lot of us that there are issues in our hearts and in our communities that we weren't really paying attention to. That was, at least for me. So, that day, Trey and I gave a talk recently, and I know we're going to get into this in a little while, but the topic of our talk was the one-word answer for how to improve your community. And the answer was relationships. And the reason I came up with that, or we came up with that, but the reason why I think about that is because of you. Because that was the day that there was somebody in the group, you and I both know who it was, but kind of after you were finished talking through things, and you had our friends, Corey and Jermaine there, and somebody, a white guy in the back, was like, okay, you kind of got me convinced. So what does a guy like me, who was born on third base but didn't hit the triple, what does a guy like me do to show solidarity with my brothers and sisters in the black community? And your answer was, get to know some people that don't look like you, just form relationships. And that really is, it's not a difficult concept, but it's kind of hard thing to do.
Simple but not easy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's a simple answer, but it requires you to give up some things to cross the street into unfamiliar territory and go out of your comfort zone and develop friendships. And so if you've seen, I don't know if you all have seen my TED Talk, I make reference to this strange white guy that comes up to me and offers to go to lunch. Well, that strange white guy, the big reveal, is Justin. Yeah.
Right? And he's not strange at all, but he was strange that day because I didn't know him.
Still strange, not as strange.
Right.
I'm a little less strange.
Right, yeah. So we go to lunch and the relationship actually forms. We actually like each other. We have some things that we share, commonality that we share. But then you started hosting a weekly conversation that you called Donuts and Coffee, which is where I believe I met Trey.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you talk about Donuts and Coffee and how we met.
Yeah, so Justin and I met at one of the SALT circles about justice. We were, it was just a handful of us. I don't think there were 10 people in the room. And after it was over, Justin, naturally, he's starting conversations, wants to know a little bit about just who you are and what you do. And so he invites me to the Donuts and Coffee. Hands me his card, and I was like, I'll check it out. So I do show up probably the second
Now,
one
was this
after.
still? This was still Ferguson was still
Still
the
fresh.
topic.
Yeah. And so I showed up, and it was really interesting because I think too, like what you were saying, I think the Holy Spirit was kind of leading these things going on in his life as well as in mine, because I'm really starting to want to be more intentional and have these conversations with people where it's not necessarily easy to have those conversations, but I'm like, I need to be in these circles with folks, like-minded folks, who are really trying to move the ball forward and make some progress in this area. And so I went and hung out with Justin. I didn't know anybody in the room, barely knew him. I'd only met him once. And that's where you and I met. And you, I mean, we're pumping you up here tonight, but
Yeah. It's just my show.
yeah, it's just your show
right now.
So, but something. So I come from. I don't know if we're ready to like get into
Let's go,
personal
man.
stories
Let's
and
go.
all that.
Let's
but
go.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a community where there's a lot of crime. The police were
In Louisiana?
In Louisiana, yeah, in Southwest Louisiana. And so
You didn't say that very loud. Eunice,
Eunice,
Louisiana.
Eunice.
I
That's
missed
right.
it too. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did that.
But like a lot of the folks I hung around with, my stepdad and like the older guys in the community, a lot of them were into drugs and like all kind of illegal stuff. And so, so I'm following along with those guys, a lot of them, but, and so the police are not our friends. And so I kind of grew up with this sour taste of police in my mouth, and I had been to jail too, as a juvenile and stuff. And so in the room, I'm still, I'm redeemed, but the old man is not. Like every now and then he raises his head up. So
Right.
I'm in the room and I'm still kind of battling with some of these old feelings of, me being a felon, ex-felon, and sitting in a room with police officers. It's a little uncomfortable.
Because he didn't tell you that there would be a couple.
No,
police
he
officers
didn't tell
there.
me nothing.
Did he have his uniform on? I don't remember.
Nope.
No, he didn't have his uniform on, but you were packing, and you had, I think you had your badge.
I probably
or
had my badge and gun on.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
'Cause it's-
I assume the conversation was about like a recent shooting that had happened. I mean, I remember the day you came, and I remember thinking like, I got to remember to tell Trey after this that we don't always just focus on law enforcement issues, but I didn't know your background either.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I remember thinking that, like, we're talking about more law enforcement stuff, it seems like, but there was a season there where that was
every
really
week.
every
It was
week.
every week.
Yeah, but
And it was really helpful though for me because I'm kind of in this mixed community, and to hear a police officer's perspective on like what is going on out there in the community in Ferguson and what's happening in Oklahoma City and all across our nation, to hear a police officer's perspective and to really hear them talk about what am I walking into. This is the situation when I get a phone call, dispatch says, hey, we need you to show up at this place. This is what's happening. And through those conversations, it really helped me to have more sympathy and empathy and grace for police officers. And so I think that started, I wasn't like all the way bad, but
Right.
I was, it just kind of broke through in a new way for me.
Were you
sitting in
looking
that
for?
room.
Were you looking for? And I think it was two of us, two police officers.
Yeah.
Jermaine.
I think Jermaine was
yeah,
in there.
and Jermaine.
Yeah.
Were you looking
He
for us
scared
to?
me.
yeah, Jermaine. Yeah, my partner. But I always feel safe with him. So
Yeah.
I would too.
We all do.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But so were you looking for the police officers to defend what happened in Ferguson, or to defend police officers, or to be the thin blue line? And did we sound that way to you?
No, I didn't go in with an expectation. Well, for one, I didn't know police officers were going to be in there, and And I think there's probably, if I'm honest, there was probably some time during that conversation in the room where I probably did think that they are going to stand up for police officers and like this is, and there was, I think there was some of that with tact, like not just a blanket. Police officers can do no wrong, and I think that's one of the things that really drew me in as you guys were talking and allowed me to really see you as human beings, and like you're performing a duty, and you're doing this the best you can. And you talk about walking, as a police officer and as a black man,
right,
and kind of living in these two environments and trying to do the best that you can in both of those. And so it was helpful.
And there was, I remember there were some tough times when we said that video, and I know your emotions about that, but the police officer's right.
Yeah.
The police officer. Yeah. I would have done the same thing that police officer would have did. And
that's hard. That's honestly, it's hard to hear that, especially like at that time, right?
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it's like everybody is up here. We're ready to fight, and then you're like, well, the police officer was right. He's like, no, every time, they're wrong if they did this, and it really helped me to kind of pull back in a lot of these situations and look at the whole picture. I know that's even kind of like to say that is kind of controversial too, but to look at everything that's going on and be like, okay, don't make a judgment based on your emotions right now. I mean, really look at what's going on. And I think you helped me, and Jermaine helped me to really see like the whole of what's happening and really see where the fault does lie, because in every situation it's not always in the same place, right?
Yeah, but since then, so we had, and I think it's important, the reason we're here today to talk about this is that we've gone deeper besides those police encounters,
right?
Because that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? That's the incident, but the race relations and the racism and the structural things that kind of bring those to the boiling point, we got to do that because we were there week after week after week, and we had to do some historical. We went to we did some field trips basically around the city to kind of learn more about how we ended up in this position, and so relationship was formed, which led to you all actually being able to help people navigate these deep waters at a conference recently, at the Neighbors Conference. And so I heard you got rave reviews on how you talked about this one-word answer being relationship. How did you approach doing that without running people out the room? Because as soon as you say, we're going to talk about race, we're going to talk racism, we're going to talk white supremacy, we're going to talk privilege and white privilege, you turn people off just with the terms. How did you navigate putting that together?
I mean, I don't think it was any like major feat. I mean,
he's the brains.
Well, and the Holy Spirit was in the room already. I mean, that was a very anointed day, I think. Yeah. I mean, the whole conference was, it really was for church leaders and believers. So we all shared the same faith in that room, and I think that paved the way for the conversation about even something kind of hard. And we weren't the first ones that day to bring up some of those topics, but
I think everybody was there because they wanted to grow in this area anyway. So it was somewhat of a softball, in a manner of speaking. But it's always a little. You kind of walk in with your expectations, and you never know how things are going to go, how it's going to be received, even if
So what was the goal? We want to be able to, what's the goal of a talk where a black man and a white man are talking about race relations and they're saying, just get to know each other?
Well, I mean, I think this might not be answering your question, but I remember we got asked to talk, and I asked Jamie, my wife, I was like, what would you want to hear from Trey and I if you were showing up at this event? And she was like, the two things I think are important are definitions, because people are using these words and they don't always mean the same thing to everyone. And I think that she's right. I mean, that really is a disconnect on a lot of these things. You say privilege and somebody gets their back arched and they don't really bother to understand, kind of the definition, the clinical definition almost. It's another example of emotion kind of overriding reason. But the second thing she said was, I'd love to hear stories. I mean, everybody likes to hear stories about, how you ended up where you are and what kinds of things have you learned along the way. And so, and then we threw in a bunch of scripture. You can't go wrong with scripture. And,
That's right.
and some other.
So walk me down the
Some other
definitions. Walk me down the definitions.
Phew, okay. I don't have them memorized or anything, but I mean,
white privilege, implicit
Race,
bias,
yeah.
racism,
and white supremacy.
yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to think of some of the other bigger ones.
Well, the ones that immediately jump off the page at me are when you talk about racism, because we had, I wouldn't say fights, but we talked about the term itself, racism, a lot in those weekly conversations because we couldn't agree on if that's racism or if that's racism or you're racist and that's not racist.
Right.
And so how do we end up kind of unpacking it, and we don't fight about that much anymore.
No, I mean, but I think that word is such an offensive word to some people because you refer to something as being a racist act, or you try not to refer to somebody as racist. It doesn't help any of us to label each other, even though it's convenient to stereotype and label. But I mean, I view the term racism just academically as a term where you're referring to or somebody's skin color or cultural background is influencing something that you're doing. And it might not necessarily be badly influencing it. It might be, there's stereotypes or good examples of where you think about, well, this particular race is always really good at math or whatever, so it might not necessarily be a negative thing. But
it is racism.
But it is racism. And I think, some people will say, well, when you say that, when you're talking about it, it sounds like you're talking about prejudice more than racism. But I think a lot of people hear the word racist and they think bigot and they think KKK hood, like that's racism. That's what a racist is, and I'm not that. Well, yeah, I agree. You're not. I'm not saying you're a bigot. I'm not saying you hate people. I'm not saying you burn crosses. I'm just saying that you have biases within you that you can't really. It's not your fault, and it's coming to terms with those and realizing that we all have a little bit of that within us, whether we like it or not. And once you acknowledge that, okay, I see that, yeah, and you can call it prejudice if you want to, but once you recognize that's in there, then you now have a job to kind of unpack it and understand it and try to see what you can, how you can improve upon it.
How do you, Trey? How do we help people understand that they may not have the bigot, racist heart, but the actions that they display or the words that they say are de facto racist?
It's a good question. I do think it begins with relationships. I don't think you can just go walking down the street and hitting people over the head and saying, that's racist.
Yeah.
You're racist. The Apostle Paul talks about how God will judge those inside the church. Or we judge those who are inside the church, talking about the body of Christ. We judge those who are inside the church, but God will judge those who are outside the church. So we got to deal with the family, right? And so these are the folks that we have relationship with and we have close contact and communication with. And so we can have those conversations, or we should have those conversations with them to make them aware of that stuff. I'll tell you a story. There was a guy working at the church who was doing some work, some contractor. This was about 4 years ago. I'll never forget this, but it was a white guy, older white guy. And we would talk when I would see him in there, and super nice guy. And one day, he didn't see me, but he was talking to like our office manager or something. And he asked, "Where's that tall, good-looking colored guy?" And I heard the whole thing. And, I could have ran out of that room, out of the back room, and be like, that's racist. What are you doing? I'm not a colored guy. But I let it go. One, I didn't really have a relationship with this guy. We were exchanging pleasantries, when we would see
There was
each
no
other.
relationship, so there was no win.
Right. I didn't see that it was really going to change him and how he went about his day and change this conversation. But I also didn't feel like it was my job to correct everybody who is saying crazy stuff that they may not even be aware of. I don't even think he was meaning anything intentionally racist or harmful by it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you offended?
I was humored, honestly.
Yeah.
I really was. I was
I
like,
wondered,
we're still
because
doing
the way you
this.
tell the story is like you can tell there's a smile on your face. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like.
I was
okay.
honestly humored
Poor
because I
him.
was like,
Poor him. He's stuck back in.
exactly. I was like, are we
Yeah.
still doing this today? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I had today, and I don't want to get too far off, but today, this happened today. I almost text y'all.
yeah.
I'm coming up to my office, which is on the east side, in a park, and I'm dressed like I am, and my gun and badge, and a backpack, and I'm walking in, and the workers are there to do some business in the building, to fix something in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So they're waiting on me to get there, and they're sitting on the back of the truck, and I say, hey, good morning, how y'all doing? And the worker says, doing fine. Must be a bad place over here. You got to have a gun. That's what he says. And I was like, excuse me? He says, got to be a bad place over here if you got to have a gun. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I guess it's a bad Oklahoma City because there's guns everywhere.
Right.
And he went, oh. Well, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to dive into it, but I thought, well, let me just make him think that everybody is carrying guns everywhere in this state.
No.
Right? So I guess it's a bad state.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So why all of a sudden was this a bad place?
Yeah.
I don't know what he meant, but I assumed
Yeah.
that he was making taking a jab at the east side of Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that's what it seems
but
like.
I wasn't offended, but I wanted to be offended.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. But like you said, I didn't want to dive into it. I didn't know him. I know he didn't. And they was trying to make a small talk.
Yeah.
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 But I did want to make him think. Right. And how often do we miss those opportunities or let them go? And when should we let them go? Do we?
Man, you want to have another conversation with Cubit on another night. That really is, one of the things that you and Corey especially impressed upon me that day was just how, every day almost, you're having to think about, okay, should I confront this situation or should I let it slide? And if I let it slide, am I losing my credibility? Am I, losing my own humanity? And that's, to me, that's one of the big things that
You don't have to do that.
And that's, you're not asking for this definition yet, but the privilege of having white skin color in America, and I think that's because, or to be even more specific, and I know this is uncomfortable for people, but if you're a white man, you have a lot more opportunity. You have a lot more things that you can get away with, and you have a lot fewer chances of having to confront somebody about something that offended you. And that's one of the things that, even, my wife or my daughter or my sister, I've heard them all tell stories about, well, I got angry and they thought I was being a female witch, but I was really just, I was really just upset. And I realized in those moments, like, well, if I had stood up for myself the way she stood up for herself in that scenario, it would have been normal. Like, that's just what a white man is expected to do. So I think about that with, the janitor and the worker at the Northeast Side Community Center today. Like, you have to decide, like, is this one worth it? No, it's not. I'm just going to go on with my day. Or you decide it's worth it, and you have that confrontation. And I think I told that story at the neighbors conference that I was a part of that moment, and I don't necessarily know what the right answer is, and I hate the fact that you have to deal with that every day.
See, and that's part of the thing, like, for me, growing up, fighting that battle and confronting that evil on a regular basis, at some point, for me, I'm like, I'm not going to have this knee-jerk reaction at every insulting thing that is said to me,
Right.
But if I'm with you and you are aware of this as well, I do feel like it's your position to speak up, and to speak up for me, or for whomever else. I mean, we would do it for weaker people in any kind of situation, or if somebody had. Not saying that we're weak. I'm just saying.
No, but like the non-dominant culture.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and so if somebody, I see people getting all irate over folks parking in handicapped parking spots, right? And they're not handicapped, but they see this as a grave injustice.
It's a wrong.
Right. And so they'll speak up for that. But then if somebody is being racially insensitive toward me or someone like me, and my white friends or whomever is standing there and not speaking up against that, I mean, how much do you really love me and care for me in that?
You sometimes,
moment?
the thing about, and you can tell this story, but the thing that you don't have to worry about is when I speak up, I'm being super sensitive. Right? Why would you? I mean, he was just saying colored. That's just he didn't mean it that way. You're just by you making a big fuss out of this.
Right.
You're being super sensitive. Right. So just blow it off.
Yeah.
But I blew off that thing this morning. I blew off 5 things before he said colored.
Before he said that.
Before he said colored. And my buddy, who's asking me to calm down, hasn't had to blow off anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Surely there's some stuff that he had to pass on, but that's the privilege. And so I always ask this question to people new in the conversation: is how often do you think about your race? How often do you compensate for it? Right? And Justin, you tell this story that interaction between you and I had of going to church at Bible study, where you were forced to think about your race. Can you talk to us?
I told it at the neighbors conference too. But so you invited me to your church for a Bible study, like on a Thursday, right? And I know Pastor McDaniel.
Probably Wednesday. Wednesday.
I know Pastor McDaniel at your church, and you were like, "It's awesome. He's great. He leads it." I was like, "Cool, I'm coming." So I'm driving over there, and it's way on the northeast side. I mean, it takes a while to get there, and from downtown, which is where I was coming from, and I'm kind of checking in with you, like, are you on your way? And you're like, yeah, I'm on my way. And I get there, and I was a little bit late, and
which means I was a lot of bit late.
You were later, not as late as you were tonight, but no. But so I remember I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I'm like, hey man, are you almost here? And you're like, yeah, I'm a few minutes away. Go on in. I'll be there in a bit. I hung up, and I was like, he told me to go on in. But I really would rather just wait until he's here and I walk in with him. And part of it was, just kind of social apprehension that I might have in a group of anybody that I don't know. But the other part of it was, I'm probably going to be the only white face in this church. And sure enough, I walked in and I was. And I sat down and everybody was warm and receptive. And, Pastor McDaniel was speaking, and he acknowledged me kind of as he was, and I sat down and I just tried to not make any, disturbance. And any more disturbance. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely turning heads.
Look at the white guy; he's late. So much for stereotypes. So much for stereotypes. Yeah, right.
But I said this when we talked. I felt so much more comfortable and relieved when you sat down next to me, and it's like, oh, he's with Waylon. Like that kind of just gave me that feeling of being sponsored by somebody because I didn't necessarily belong in that room. They knew I wasn't a member of the church. They knew I wasn't the same skin color. They knew that I must be there because I know somebody, but who is it? They're kind of all wondering all that. And then you show up and it's like, okay.
Yeah. And I get that. I got that same feeling going to play golf at and who's your sponsor, sir?
Yeah, totally.
I got golf clubs. I belong here. I'm okay. But you kind of get. I got the golf gear on and everything.
But you're right. I mean, and you have to do that way more often than I do.
Yeah, it's good. So let's go to the next term that I think people have trouble with is white supremacy. Like, why do people have problems with that term? And then what is it really, why do we need to be familiar with the proper term?
Justin?
Well, okay, so again, I think like with racism, I think when you change that word to racist, then it like you're a racist, like you're starting to label somebody. And likewise with white supremacy, if you say white supremacist, you're labeling somebody, like that person is a white supremacist and they're a bigot and they're hateful and they're mean and so, but I think the term white supremacy, it's obviously very closely related to white supremacist, but it's just the concept that, like I was talking about earlier, in America, because the white male is the dominant culture in America, then it's just that concept that, white is supreme. And and it just is kind of de facto in America, but I think we had a better like academic definition of white supremacy that I didn't memorize, but I mean, I think it really is just a concept that people are uncomfortable with, and I can understand why. But it's not, it's not a very crazy concept to think that the white skin color or the white culture is viewed as the more supreme culture. I had this thought the other day that I was talking to somebody about just how, and this is something that took me a while to understand, but when I think of something as normal, I think like that's how things should be, the way that I do them. And that can be not just with the white and black race conversation, but anything, like, well, if you do it that way, then you're messed up because that's not how I do it, and I really had this thought the other day when I was getting gas. This car pulls up next to me, super loud bass, like definitely, a non-white driver. But I just remember thinking like, why does that person have to make their music so loud for all of us to have to hear it? But then I also realized like, because that's what I think is normal, is to not have your music up loud. That person thinks it's normal to have their music up loud. So like, who am I to say what is best? I mean, I know it's a matter of common courtesy in some respects, but it's just we have cultural differences where
I think about that all the time, is that we're willing to adjust to the culture when we get on a plane and go to another country or even to another city. We will adjust to the culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when we come home, it's like just the
You
person
better get
across
on
the
my page.
the person on the other side of the street
Yeah.
needs to be like you
right.
before you accept them. And I'm like, take the same mindset that when you leave the country as you do when you leave your house.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, take that, and treat the other person like the way you do it is not the only way
Right.
you do it. The way you eat, the way you talk, the way you listen to music, all that stuff it's cultural, and it's right here in our city. It's right here in our neighborhood.
And that's what, I mean, going back to the theme of the conversation, relationships, I mean, for me to be able to talk to you or to you about like, okay, well, I've noticed, it's a stereotype, but why is it this way with your culture or whatever? And you can have that conversation with me without like, instead of me at the gas station being like, why do you do that? I mean, if I don't have the relationship, then it's not going to go well.
Right. And Trey, do you find yourself having to have grace in these relationships, like for questions like that, or for people that mess it up? Do you go like, oh, there's Justin again with that dominant white culture thing, and I have to teach him? Do you get like?
Well, thankfully, not with Justin.
Right.
Not with Justin. Yeah, there have been times where you have to deal with a little more grace with certain people than with others. And I think that's okay because, especially as a follower of Christ, as a Christian, I think that's very necessary. It's lacking in a lot of areas. We don't do a good job of extending grace to other people. And I'll tell you a story. So in the Gospel of Luke, and I love this story. I've used this illustration a million times if I've used it once. But Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and he's trying to cut through Samaria.
Mm-hmm.
The Samaritans are like, no, it's not going to happen. Because the way Luke writes this part of the story is that he had his face set for the journey toward Jerusalem. That means he was resolute. His mind was made up. He wasn't turning left or right. He was going straight to Jerusalem. Well, he wants to take a shortcut through Samaria, but the Samaritans say, no, it's not happening. Well, Jesus' homeboys, a couple of disciples with them, are like, you know what? If they're going to treat you like that, we need to just rain down fire like Elijah and wipe them all out.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus, it's interesting because Jesus does not rebuke the Samaritans for rejecting him and refusing him access to their land. He rebukes his disciples. And he tells his disciples, you do not know what manner of spirit you are of. The Son of Man did not come to destroy life, but to save life. Right? And he takes the long way around and goes to Jerusalem. And I think that's missing oftentimes in the body of Christ. We forget what manner of spirit is within us as a people of God, and we don't extend grace to people. Jesus was insulted and offended every day.
Okay, Trey, but listen. I want to hold people accountable. I want them to do better. I want them to know the error of their ways.
I understand.
I want them to know the error of their ways, and I want to hold them accountable, and I want us to do better. How do I let those people know that your land is my land? Your land is my land, and I'm gonna take a long way around, but you need to know that land is not just yours; it is ours. How do I get the message without fighting with them and going around?
Well, you honestly, you may have to fight sometimes. I mean, and there is a time for that. I mean, Ecclesiastes 3, there's a time for everything under the sun, right? And so there may come a time where we do have to fight over this so that you understand, I mean business, right? But again, it's that analogy, you know, if all you have is a hammer, then everything becomes a nail.
Yes.
Right? And so you don't want to approach these situations with a hammer and nail mentality every time. You know? So that's, I think there are opportunities to have those fights and be like, yeah, I mean business. We're going to share this or we're going to tear it up, like the way we used to say, you know. But then there's also those times where one of us has to slow down. My wife and I have had the opportunity to teach relationship education classes, and one of the things we would talk about, and this is through the Oklahoma Marriage Initiative, at the time, it was escalation. So we look for these danger signs in communication, and one of them is escalation. So, you know, we've talked about this before, you know, it's like you say something and the next thing you know it's your mama, and we really fighting then.
Yeah.
And so
I can't let you go now.
Yeah, we can't let you go now. So we recognize, like, to stop the escalation, somebody has to get out of their emotions and think more rationally and clearly about what's going on. And maybe what I'm saying to you is offending you, or it's driving you more insane because I'm using words that just don't speak your language. I'll tell you another story of speaking languages, right? So there's a friend of mine who was smuggling Bibles into Morocco. He's a missionary, and he went and he met this guy who was a Muslim. So when he got to the border, he had Bibles, he had Christian paraphernalia. The authorities found the paraphernalia, but they didn't find the Bibles. And so he gets into Morocco, goes and meets this guy named Beidou, and he talks to Beidou. He's a paraplegic, quadriplegic, I think he was, and he had been abandoned by his own family. Wealthy guy, but he had been abandoned by his own family because of his condition. And what ended up happening was my friend, being in the room with him, communicated to Beidou that God really loved him, right? And so he asked him, if your God would send you to me and my own family wouldn't come to visit me. I want to learn about your God. And so he asked my friend to leave him one of his books talking about the Bible. So he does. And several months go by, and my friend goes back to see Baidu. Baidu is now a Christian. He's not a Muslim anymore. And he asked him to tell him the story about what happened. And he said it was the man of the book. So Baidu had this vision of Jesus stepping into his room one night. And Baidu asked the image to identify himself. And he said, I am the man of the book, meaning I am Jesus.
Right.
And so Baidu spoke 3 languages, but I forget, his native language was Berber, and that is the language that Jesus spoke to him in. Everybody would speak to him in French or Arabic, but Jesus spoke to him in his native language, right? And so I think we have to get to the place to where we can speak the language that is understood by other people,
Wow.
so that we can break through some of these walls that we've put up for ourselves and some of the walls that they've put up in front of us too. So when we can do that, then I think, and we're extending that grace, then I think the Holy Spirit does a life-transforming work like he did in your situations, right? I mean, you're able to have conversations with Cubit. Plug.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know, one of the
Because
best
of that,
people who seems like Lee Rowland, when it feels like the more offensive that the group or the people are, the closer he gets to them, right? Where a lot of us have a tendency to push back and get away from them. He seeks to understand them, right? And,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
understanding each other is probably, I don't know, I'm talking out loud here, but understanding each other is probably where transformation of one or the other actually happens,
Yeah.
right? In the understanding. What's the, you talk about, Trey, in your talk, I know there's a heavy dose of hospitality in that conversation. How do you make the link between relationships and hospitality as the cure for race relations?
Yeah, well, if you understand the wording that, so Peter uses this word, the Apostle Peter uses this word hospitality to talk about, it's one of those one another's in the Bible, right? And one of the one another's is to show hospitality to each other. And if you understand that word hospitality, it's a compound word, which means to love strangers, right? That's what the word means. So it's philoxenos. So philos is like Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and xenos is a foreigner or a stranger. And so to love the stranger is really, when I started to understand that word, and then I read some writings from Henry Nouwen and what is Butterfield, what's her? Rosaria Butterfield, and some of these other writings, and just looking into scripture as well, it really spoke to me on a deeper level, and my wife as well. And one of the things we did, which was really fun and kind of it had this unintended effect, was we put up a tire swing in our front yard. And we put up this tire swing for our kids. Well, neighborhood kids start coming over to play on our tire swing. Well, when the neighborhood kids come over, we got kids all in our yard, the parents come over, right? And we start to have conversation, and we build a relationship with these neighbors, and we're having dinner with each other and really getting to know one another and having some of these deeper conversations about life. And it opened a lot of avenues for us to share the gospel with our neighbors as well, right? And so you allow people, this is what I love about what Henry Nouwen says. He says hospitality is not to change people, but to create space where change can happen, right? And so you may be a white supremacist, right? It is not, I don't feel like it is my job to change you. I don't have that divine power. right? I do, as a follower of Christ, have a call to create space for the Spirit of God to do work in the lives of those
You could
people.
be the conduit
Absolutely,
to change.
absolutely.
But
yeah.
only if you allow a relationship to happen.
Yeah.
Man,
It's good.
man, that is really good. I want to know how these relationships, because I don't know if I've ever asked you this. I kind of know the answer, but I don't think I've ever asked you. Is when you see an incident prior to 2014 that may have been race-related incident, how you responded and how your response as a white guy now in relationship with all kinds of people now, a much more diverse friendship circle. What's the difference between how you responded to, or how you might have responded to a George Floyd prior to 2014 in this awareness, and now?
Man, I mean, I think obviously what a relationship does for you is it gives you the opportunity to empathize with somebody that doesn't look like you. I mean, not all relationships are with people that don't look like you, but if you do enrich your life by developing that kind of relationship, then it does change your perspective. And things like George Floyd hit me a lot differently. Even though I was troubled by Ferguson and the Michael Brown situation, I was much more troubled by the George Floyd. I mean, I think that's true of a lot of people.
And Breonna Taylor
And the other ones.
And the list goes on.
Yeah, the list goes on.
And the reason, I mean, one of the reasons is because I feel that compassion. I feel that that relationship deepens my response and my feelings about the wrongs that I see. And you're the one, honestly, I mean, you're over here using fancy Latin terms, but I actually took Latin, but you're the one that pointed out to a group of us one time that the word compassion means suffer with, right?
Suffer with, yeah.
And so a lot of us like to boast, like, I'm a compassionate person, but if you really break it down, you're like, oh, really? So that means you like to suffer with people? Like, when do we really want to choose suffering, right? But, I mean, that's what happens is George Floyd, and I've got a relationship with Trey and Waylon and lots of other folks, it makes me just feel more suffering when I'm watching events like that unfold. And then the other thing I think that I wanted to make sure I said that I think is a big deal here with regard to relationships is, you asked me how I would react to different things before 2014 and after. And, I think a lot of us know, like, oh, he said something that sounded a little bit inappropriate or racially insensitive. That's wrong, I should point that out that that's wrong. But that's trying to stand up for a principle. And what I've learned is that it is much easier and much more likely for me to stand up for a person than a principle. So I'm if I hear something or see something, I'm going to be like, man, I have too many friends that you're referring to in that insensitive way for me to just let that go.
Yeah, that's
Right.
good.
I had a friend. I remember this happened when I was in uniform, and one of my district partners, his name is Jason, great guy. We did all these calls together, white guy, black guy, and toward the end of our shift, there was nothing going on, and we go to Wendy's. I shouldn't have said Wendy's, but anyway, we went to Wendy's.
You said
I'm
it
a
three
front-
times.
I'm not going to tell the location. I'm not going to do that. We went to a restaurant, a fast food restaurant. Yeah, bleep that out, Cam. Okay. And so we get there, and sometimes these fast food restaurants have uniform officer discounts that they give you if you eat there in the restaurant because they makes them feel safe or whatever. And this time of the morning, that would happen because they have club hour and all that stuff. So anyway, he orders and I order, I order first, and she takes my money and all that kind of stuff, and then she says, what would you get? And so he's going to order, and he goes, what'd you get, Waylon? And I tell him what I got, and he says, okay, I'll get the same thing he got. And she got the same thing, and she says, oh, and she says, and yours is half off. And she gives him the uniform police officer discount, and he just, he's shocked. He's just kind of lost. He's like, whoa. don't give me the discount if you didn't give it to him. She's like, what? She didn't even recognize that she had did it. And so he started to cause a commotion in the restaurant. And I'm like, calm down, relax. But let me tell you, deep down, how good it felt that guy who didn't have to fight for me was willing to fight for that issue that he didn't have to fight for. And so what these relationships have done for me is I know Justin and Jefferson and Mark, there's so many others in our circle that I know that are speaking up for issues that would impact my daily life when I'm not around. When I'm not around. And so I don't think you do that for principle, you do that for the person. Right? Which is just more of what you said. And I'm deeply impacted by that. That I know that you're having conversations with your buddies because of things that they said. Tell me or help guide another white guy into having a conversation with another white friend who is not as aware of the issues and how they might be offensive to about some of these issues. How do you have that conversation? Because you've had plenty of them.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's been discouraging. I mean, because I think a lot of us, and me included, and 2014 is like this line of demarcation. But before that, I think there's a lot of things you just don't want to hear and you don't really want to believe. And so you're looking for ways to not hear it or believe it. And I remember having a conversation with a friend about, getting pulled over. And I had realized that experience is much different for Trey than it is for me. And there's just a lot of things going on in that moment. And no offense to police officers, but that produce a lot of fear. And I remember that his reaction was exactly like mine would have been before I kind of had the light bulb go off. But he was like, well, I get scared too. And I was like, right, but what are you scared of in that moment? Like and he's like, ticket, my insurance premium's going up. And I was like, right, but like, are you gonna go to jail probably? No way, no cop's gonna take me to jail. I'll get his badge number, and or are you afraid of like maybe even losing your life in that moment? Well, heck no, so there's just such a difference, but there's a resistance to hearing that and believing that and embracing that. And I don't know. I've tried to have some of those conversations, but I also think, just like you said, I can maybe create the space, I can be hospitable and create the opportunity for change, but the Holy Spirit's going to be the one that's doing the changing. And so I can continue to have the conversations, and that's what I want to do. And I want to make space for those people, for somebody to learn in a situation.
And, I think one of our great temptations is after the light bulb comes on for us, then I want to share my light with you, and I want the light bulb to come on for you.
You're so right.
Right then, right? And we forget how many years, how many conversations, how many relationships it took to get us to this point of transformation, right? And this, again, is where I think we need to deal with more grace with people. And if these folks are continuing to come back and have these conversations, they'll listen and they'll engage and interact. I think we have something there that we can work with. And so we continue to create that space for the conversations to continue, for grace to be extended, and for the Spirit of God to change and to turn this light bulb on, when that time approaches. But we can't forget, this is one of the great sins of the church. When people are redeemed, we get saved, then we want other people to get saved. Stop all of your evil, wicked ways right this moment. And we forget that, it took me 40 years before I became a Christian. Right? And so we got to allow space for God to work in people's lives so that the transformation can happen, and not stop expecting this overnight transformation. So, and if your friend is willing to continue having these conversations, even though it may feel like you're beating your head against the wall sometimes, it's like, I think you got something there that you can work with, right? Or God can work with.
I'm going to put you on the spot. And I'm going to put everybody that's watching on the spot. right here.
I'm nervous.
So, Jefferson, I know you're watching. Susan, Esco, I know you're watching. Answer this question. Give Oklahoma City a letter grade on race relations. How well are we doing on the race issue? A being, we have made it. We're good. And
Well,
F
we're
being,
definitely not an A.
we're not an A. I would be shocked if somebody said an A. But where are we on this? I'm going to call it a journey. If this is a class that we're taking, where are we sitting?
Are you going to tell the story about how you originally had this?
No,
grade?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, you did. With your grandmother.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell it. I mean, I don't know if you want to tell it first or.
Well, go ahead. Give me the letter grade. I'm going to look and see if anybody answers.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know that as a whole, I could accurately grade Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oklahoma City, right?
Oklahoma City?
If you want to make it easier, go for the state. I don't care.
Well, even that. I mean.
And why is it so hard? Because I heard it today. I heard somebody say today, I've lived everywhere. I've lived all the places. Man, there is no place like Oklahoma because of the people. That's what they said. Because
People
of the
say
people.
that. People say that everywhere.
Okay.
People say that everywhere, man.
Wherever they live.
Yeah, wherever they live.
We have
people
great
say
people
that.
here. We have great
That's
people
like
here.
saying, man, this is my favorite Bible verse. I say that every Sunday.
Okay.
And I'm on a different verse.
So why? What's
But-
the deal? What's our grade?
I don't know.
How are we
You know,
rocking this or not?
I think part of it is kind of hard for me, and I'm speaking for myself, because some of it is so under the surface, right?
Yeah, we got one D and we have one. Can I just say improving? But are we improving from?
Yeah,
where are we?
right.
Yeah, where are we
And so
improving from?
I was going. My knee-jerk response was going to be probably a C plus.
I think what's interesting is it depends on your perspective, which is what you're going to share with us in a minute
Right.
about your grandmother. But my perspective, I mean, I think if you would have asked me that question in 2013, I would have been like, wow, Oklahoma City, I mean, we don't have any Confederate history. It's like a B plus, you know.
Right.
Then I meet Waylon Cubit, I start to dive into this issue a little bit more. I think I would have started to give it like a D. You know, I think I would have felt like, oh my gosh, our city hasn't reckoned with a lot of this stuff. You know, we just haven't even confronted it. But I think now I have to say something like a C because, and this is cliche too, but I see a lot of younger people that are causing this issue to be addressed and that are bringing this topic to people's attention. And I see it being discussed. I think we're improving.
Yeah. So I asked this question. This is where you allude to. As I was preparing for that talk that we met in 2014, I was preparing for a talk and I was asking everybody, my white friends, my black friends, I'm asking everybody, give us a letter grade. Come on, I got to have one. But are you talking about schools? Are you talking about, no, I'm talking just in general.
Yeah.
Give me a letter grade. And what got me really interested is that my white friends were B's, maybe a C. And my black friends were D's and F's. I was the only C. Like I was giving it a C. And so I got around to my grandmother, who was 92 or 3 at the time, and she's still around right now. So
Bless
she
her
might,
heart.
yeah, she's still around kicking. And I asked her to give me a letter grade, and she immediately answers A. I give it an A. I'm like, Grandma, please. Let me get closer to your ear and let me tell you in your ear, because you obviously didn't hear the question right. And she said, I heard what you said. I give it an A. I said, but you couldn't give it an A, so don't tell me what to give it. I know how to answer your question. I said, well, how can you do that when you told me this story and this thing and that thing? And she said, I live here on the east side, and I remember a time when if we saw a black man walking down the street with a white woman, it would be a totally different response. I see it every day now. I got white neighbors. over here. I'm able to go places that I'm never able to go. She said, back from where I come from, this is a tremendous difference. And so I give it an A.
I remember too, a specific thing that you said
Yeah.
that she said was, if you were going to be in Edmond, you had to be home before dark. And
Yes.
that broke my heart too. You know,
Yes.
just thinking about how, just in your lifetime.
In my lifetime, she said that was my rule.
Yeah.
Don't let the sun set on you in Edmond. And we lived close to that way. So she said, you make sure you're home away from Edmond when the sun goes down.
And she said now the reason for her A is because
Yeah.
that she doesn't have that fear anymore.
She doesn't have that fear anymore. And so we've come a long way. We got some D's. I think we got a C, terrible, but a huge need for improvement. I know my heart and mind before Justin went on this journey. Yep. And so an I, incomplete.
A U.
Yeah.
U, unsatisfactory.
That's good. So you all are super resource. I know we share a podcast. You are a podcast junkie, the best podcast listener. I don't know where you find the time. But so share a podcast or a book that for somebody that's just trying to get on this journey, you need to listen to this, not just this podcast, but listen to this episode. And then what's the book? And don't say the Bible. I know that's what you're saying. But yeah, the Bible is the one.
That's your
but you've already
favorite
been
book.
you've been
My
all through the
favorite
Bible
book.
today. Yeah, you've already been through the Bible. So I'm taking that one off the shelf.
But definitely the Bible
Right,
first.
right.
And then I really like Jesus and the Disinherited. That's a great, it's short, but it's like a stick of dynamite, man. It is jam-packed with confronting information, and especially if you are a Christian, I think you should read that book because it makes sense of the Bible and Jesus specifically, and how this stuff kind of meshes with his upbringing and his history. So I think it's a great book, Jesus and the Disinherited.
Let me interrupt you because I'm gonna go backwards.
Yeah.
Marquise Miller says that he gives it an F.
Okay.
And I liked, I mean, I know him, and so he's such a very positive guy. For him to give it an F concerns me. But Marquise, does it have to do, are you talking about the state, and does it have anything to do with our recent, some of the laws that we've recently passed? Does that impact the letter grade you give, or is it from person to person that you give it that letter grade? So I'm watching.
Curious.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, your podcast.
Podcast, man. I don't know. I love the Jew 3 Project podcast.
Is there an episode?
Look, I'm gonna have to. Man, I've listened to so many. I
can't remember
you
which
can't
letter
go
writer.
wrong.
Tell us what Jude 3 is.
You can't go wrong with it. Lisa Fields. I hope my music don't start playing. I'm looking up my podcast right now.
Okay, what's your book? What's your book?
while you're doing that, I got two. One is a simple one that's also a stick of dynamite by Emmanuel Acho called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. He's former NFL, former University of Texas football. But he does a great job of kind of answering specific questions that it might be difficult to ask if you don't have that relationship, and he tries to answer them pretty comprehensively. And then another one that I really liked is called Waking Up White by Debbie Irving. And
You never told me about that one?
I think I have, because I read it pretty early on.
Come on.
But she kind of goes through the journey and explains, kind of everything that she encountered along the way. And then for podcast episodes, I'm stealing the My Best Friends Are, and particularly the episode about 80s movies that you and I spent some time talking about afterwards, just breaking it down, because those two guys,
Have you heard this?
No.
It's a black guy and a white guy who are best friends. One of them happens to be a Harvard professor, but they talk about the movie 48 Hours, and Waylon and I just had the most fun talking about it afterwards, because we both grew up like maybe memorizing portions of that movie,
There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Reggie Hammond. Y'all be cool now, you hear?
Right. And I can totally see, I can see in my mind's eye
Right.
Eddie Murphy delivering that line.
Man.
But and the way they break it down though, and talk about this one scene in particular, I mean, it almost just makes you want to get emotional when they describe kind of what happens. But don't give it.
I won't give it away,
Okay.
but listen to that podcast, especially if you are a fan of Eddie Murphy and 48 Hours and Nick Nolte. That movie, all the racist undertones in that, and all of the messages in it, that if you just follow the entertainment, you miss, because I missed it. And I'm driving down the street, and as they break this down, I was like, that's it. Because I know that movie forward and backwards.
Yeah.
And so when they break it down, I was like, oh, how did I? Oh my God.
And then they talk about Lethal Weapon too, which kind of has different,
Yeah.
but is really good.
Really good.
What do you got?
Yeah, Jude 3 Project Podcast, the Wild Black, WHILE, Wild Black Podcast. The Disruptors.
Don't listen to that one with your kids in the car.
Don't listen to Wild Black with your kids in the car.
Right, I know that one.
The Disruptors is another one. Dr. Esau McCauley, huge. He studied under N.T. Wright, and I just love his approach to the conversation. He's maybe this is why I like him. You know, he's in a mixed relationship too, multicultural relationship. So I don't know, maybe kindred spirits, maybe, but. He does a really great job on his podcast, you know, talking about, I listen to a lot of these podcasts that really, now Wild Black is not in this category.
Right.
But a lot of them that challenges my theology and my Christian practice. And so that's one of the things I love about the Disruptors. I share one. Did I share the one with you about the refugees?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that one was huge.
Yeah.
Jenny,
Yes.
I forget her name.
Yes.
But,
I've listened to 3 ones about the refugee crisis and the whole Haiti thing. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah,
That's
for
a whole
sure,
nother
for
episode.
sure. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to try to tell you this story as we close. But it's a lion, a hyena, and a fox go hunting together, and they have a successful hunt. And at the end of their hunt, they're dragging their catches back under a shade tree: a donkey, a rhino, and a gazelle. And as they get it all prepared, the lion says, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm really, really hungry." So he says to the hyena, "Divide this stuff up so we can eat." And the hyena says, "Sure, I got this." And he says, "You'll take the rhino, I'll take the gazelle, and we'll give the other to the fox." And the lion just goes crazy, and he hits the hyena and kills him. And he says, "That guy, I don't know where he learned how to divide food up." So he says to the fox, "Divide the food up." And he says, "Okay, so you get the donkey for breakfast, you get the rhino for lunch, and you get the gazelle for dinner." And he says, "Oh man, perfect. Where did you learn to divide up?" He said, "I learned it from the hyena." Right? And I tell you that story is because we can learn from the past. We can learn from the mistakes of the past. We really, really can. And we know that the people before us have messed this whole relationship thing up. And I'm so honored that I'm sitting here with a couple of foxes that have learned the lessons of the past and are putting relationships to practice, to work for our good, for our community good. And you're encouraging people, and you're doing it, the hard work. So I'm just so grateful to do life with you all. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your teaching and taking us to church and school and Latin and all that kind of stuff. And so that's it for Conversations with Cubit, and we'll see you next week. And shout out to Jefferson Kilgore for all of those great podcasts that you send our way. Keep them coming, brother. Talk to y'all later.
Peace.